Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I haven't done a full face in a very long time of one brand, I guess I should say. And this brand is not one that I have ever talked about before because until like a month ago, I really had never even heard of them. But I think I must have seen it either on YouTube or Instagram, and I ended up going to their Instagram, and then I went to their website and I got sucked in and I purchased a full face of makeup. And this is Make Beauty. You have probably heard about it because when I ended up searching for it on YouTube, I saw quite a few videos. A lot of them were of people who were sent the product. I was not sent any of this. I purchased all of this myself. As far as I know, you can only get this online. And when I go on to the About section, it is a brand all about harnessing the advancements of biotechnology. So they formulate with sustainable botanical materials, lab-engineered natural ingredients, and skin-compatible synthetics that go beyond the concept of clean. So I guess they say they're a clean brand. And apparently they've been a company since 2013. So where have I been? I don't know. But I've been trying these products for the past probably 5 or 6 days. I have definitely formed an opinion on them, which I will let you know some as I go and some at the end. But if you want to see how I got this look, let's go ahead and get started. I know I said this was a full face of Make Beauty, and for the majority of it, it is. However, I don't have any kind of corrector for Make Beauty. From what I gathered, they don't have one. But I did get a package in the mail yesterday of the brand new Dermatology Luminous Eye Correctors, SPF 41. So I'm going to use these, or one of them, as my corrector today. So these have zinc oxide and titanium dioxide in them, and I believe come in 3 colors. That's what they sent me. They look a lot like the Color Science correctors, and I can't remember because I don't have one anymore of the amount of SPF in those, but I don't think it was 41. I think these might be a higher SPF. So again, they are correctors, so they're gonna have a little bit of a peachy undertone to them, at least the middle 2 shades. So this is fair right here, and then we've got medium, and then you go up to tan. And I have not used these yet, short of swatching them on my hands. But when I swatched medium when they first came in, because I think that's the shade that I'm going to use, and then kind of blended it out on my hand, I was actually pretty impressed with the amount of coverage. I felt like just from doing that, it had a little bit more coverage than the Color Science one, but we shall see when we apply it. So again, I'm gonna do medium. It does have like that cooling tip applicator. I rarely ever use these when they're on a product. So I'm just going to take 1 pump of the product and see how far that goes, and just put it where I am the darkest, and then kind of blend it out further with my BK Beauty 113. So it does brighten the area up. It's not as full coverage as some of my other correctors, but with products like these, that's not what I'm expecting. The fact that it has SPF in it is amazing in my opinion. A lot of times we forget to put SPF up under our eyes when we're using it in our skincare routine. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate the correcting colors. I will write down below how I felt like it wore throughout the day, because I have tried the concealer, so I'll be able to see if it works as well as some of my other correctors do with this concealer. Okay, let's go into the Make Beauty portion of the video, and I'm gonna start out with complexion, and I'm gonna be using the Diffusion Dew. This is described as a radiant skin tint. It is 1 fluid ounce. It comes in 12 shades, and it is $32. I'm in the shade number 2, Natural. This says it is a skin tint that features skin mimicking pigments that add radiant coverage while blurring, smoothing, and brightening. Sheer yet buildable. It has added niacinamide. I wish not everything in the world these days had niacinamide in it. And adenosine to enhance skin for a glowing, healthy looking complexion. I really like the tall, slim bottle. Okay, so let's talk about this because I have tried all of these things a few times now. When I first saw this, when I have seen it being applied on Instagram, and when I read the description, it reminded me a lot of what I thought would be like the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter or the e.l.f. Halo Glow, where it's that mainly like radiant finish with just a little bit of coverage. And that is the case mostly. It is, you can see sheer, so I can still see some redness. It did cover up some, and it does have a luminous finish. I use my Numbuzzin SPF today, so it has no tint whatsoever. So this right here is just my skin. And you can see the finish with just the sunscreen and skincare, and then the finish with the Diffusion Dew. It is radiant, but here are the differences in my opinion. Because I do think that most of the similarities are the fact that it is a very sheer coverage product with radiance. Okay, those are similarities to the Flawless Filter and the e.l.f. Halo Glow. The difference, other than the packaging, it doesn't have like a wand applicator, is that I feel like this has maybe like a smidgen more coverage. A smidgen, which is a quantifiable measurement in the South. I do, again, still see some redness coming through. We'll test the buildable ability. And I actually don't think that it's as luminous as the other two products. I feel like it's just a little bit less radiant. And while those can be used as like highlighters, and maybe this could too if I had the right shade, I feel like this one is truly more of a skin tint than those are. So I have a little bit left on my hand, and I'm just gonna put it on the brush and kind of tap it into the areas where my redness is the most pronounced. And it does build up for some more coverage. And that's kind of another difference. I don't feel like the other ones build up as well as this one does. So while the others, again, can be used as highlighters, and a lot of people use them as primers, this one I like using as a legit skin tint. I'm someone who really wishes, again, that niacinamide wasn't in everything, because when I layer too much of it, it can irritate my skin. I don't get any irritation from this. Sometimes niacinamide, and the irritation I get from niacinamide is flushing and burning. I get nothing like that using this product. The next product is their concealer, and this is called the Skin Mimetic Concealer with Radiant Buildable Coverage. This comes in 20 shades, so more than the Diffusion Dew, and it's $28. And when I first got it out, this is pretty heavy. It's a glass container, and it's much taller than a lot of my other concealers, so I thought it had more product, but it has 7.5 grams, which is more than some of my concealers and on par with some of my concealers. But I do really like, again, it's the tall, slim packaging that really is attractive to me. And I'm in the shade number 3, Light Cool. When choosing concealer colors, I tend to look for cool undertones because of the darkness. They usually help counteract that. So that's why I chose Light Cool. This is kind of the same thing marketing-wise as the Diffusion Dew. It's a radiant finish. It has medium buildable coverage, and it is said to be hydrating. So good if you have dry under eyes. Can be used obviously on the face, under the eyes, and they even say as a highlight or contour. I'm just gonna be using it as a concealer today. That is the doe foot. See how it has like a little hole in the middle of it? I'm not quite sure the purpose of that, but I'm sure there is one. Maybe it doesn't build up as much product that way. It is very light, very thin consistency. Feels like you have nothing under the eyes when you apply this, other than the fact it's kind of cooling, which is not a bad thing. To me, I don't know. I guess it could have a more of a light to medium coverage, in my opinion. But it is buildable if I wanted to build it under my eyes. I don't. I like, the coverage, especially when using a corrector with it, that it provides. I don't know that I would necessarily use this without a corrector because of the level of darkness that I have. But if you're someone that doesn't have, a lot of darkness under their eyes, this would be plenty coverage. And then I have used this if I felt like I've had too much redness left on my cheeks using the Diffusion Dew, but I don't feel like that today. I'm just gonna put it on a couple of spots that I have and kind of stipple that in. Again, it doesn't provide a ton of coverage, but it is there. I'm gonna set this down with their Diffusion Set Translucent Pressed Powder. This comes in 5 shades, and I have the shade Translucent Light Medium. So it is described as translucent, although there are shades, and I do think it provides a little bit of color to the skin. So keep that in mind when choosing a shade. This color works great, and I'm gonna do one side of the face. You can see that it really does help mattify, but it's not a flat matte. This has a mineral complex in it that sets the foundation and the concealer. I didn't use it to set my concealer. I haven't tried that yet. While absorbing excess oil for a smoother looking complexion, a biotech derived algae helps balance the complexion. This is talc free. So I'm going to do just this side of the face, just so you can see. So it is definitely more matte than this side. However, you can still see some of that radiance from the Diffusion Dew. And that is, to me, the perfect type of powder. I don't want to be as shiny as I was with the Diffusion Dew, or I just wouldn't have set it, period. I do want a little bit of a more matte finish, but I don't want it to be so flat matte that it takes away any kind of radiance from the skin. And this powder is pretty perfect at doing that. I really like how this sets not only this, but other foundations in my collection. I was gonna wait until the very end to kind of pick out my favorites and tell you what I like and what I don't like. And I will, for the majority, wait until the end to tell you my thoughts, but this next product is probably my favorite one and one that I have used the most since I have gotten all of this, and it is their Skin Mimetic Micro Suede Bronzer. First of all, I love this blue. I didn't tell you the powder's $32, and it is refillable, as well as the bronzer is refillable, which comes in 6 shades. It is a matte bronzer, and it says that adds buildable warmth. So my shade is definitely warm. It sounds like all of them may have a little bit of a warm undertone to give a sun-kissed tan effect. It includes hydrating hyaluronic acid and ceramides to feel lightweight and silky smooth. And again, I do not see talc on the list of ingredients. I am in the second lightest shade in Aura. This is it right here. Very, very happy with this shade. And I am just very, very happy with this bronzer. I love it. It just looks so good on the skin. I like that it's a matte bronzer, especially when so many of their other products are radiant in finish, because when you start putting a Diffusion Dew, a hydrating concealer, you start putting all this like really radiant stuff on your skin and then put a radiant bronzer on top of it. To me, it becomes too much. So I appreciate that they made this a matte formula. I don't know whether it's hydrating or not. It's a powder. I don't know. It's not drying on my skin. It doesn't look dry despite having a matte finish. It is very easy to blend out. And again, I think it's just the color and just the overall finish of the bronzer that I really like. They have some different blush formulas. They do have a cream blush. I almost got it in the hot pink shade because it was just calling my name, but I decided to go for a powder blush instead. Not to say I won't go back for a cream blush, but this is the Skin Mimetic, do you sense a theme? Micro Suede Blush. This comes in 10 shades and it is $28, and I chose the shade Mystic Mauve. So it is a very pretty mauve shade. They have a lot of, I'll put up actually on the screen the colors that they have, because there's some very pretty, like there's a red, there is a bright orange, there's a bright purple, but then there's also like a hot pink, a rosy pink. There's really something for all skin tones, which I really appreciate. And I like this because I don't have very many mauve blushes in my collection. I have a lot of peaches, I have a lot of corals, I have a lot of pinks, but I don't necessarily have a lot of mauves. This is basically the same description as the bronzer as far as like hyaluronic acid and ceramides and silky smooth. It is also refillable and very pretty. I don't have anything bad to say about the blush. I do like the color. It's not too pigmented right off the bat, which I've said at least 1,000 times that for someone like me who has a heavy hand with powder products, I can appreciate. It is a matte blush, but it still kind of gives a little bit, and maybe that's the Diffusion Dew coming through, but there's just a little bit of a sheen coming through. I don't think they have a separate highlighter. No, I don't see one. I think basically The goal is to maybe get a couple of the colors of the diffusion dew and use a lighter one for a highlighter, or use a lighter concealer shade as a more of like a matte highlighter. I don't even know that I'm going to use one. I might stick another one on at the very end, but right now let's go to the eyes. Now, when I first made this purchase, I did not see much in the way of eyeshadows other than eyeshadow sticks. And I just have so many eyeshadow sticks that I was like, I'm not going to get, they were like contour sticks. They were all kind of matte contour shades for the eyes. They have since brought out single eyeshadows, and they're called metal reflecting eyeshadows, multi-chromatic. They look amazing. I might have to get one or a couple, but I did not get one then because they didn't have them. So I'm going to use this blush as my eyeshadow because the star of the show is what I'm going to use after this. So I'm just going to take my Rephr number 1 brush, and I'm going to use this blush pretty much all over the lid and up into the crease as just a wash of color for my eyeshadow, which I often do. And it, you know, something to keep in mind if you're wanting to get one of these blushes, think, okay, well, I like this color for the cheeks and the eyes, so that you can get something that's going to work on both. And I do like this color for the cheeks and the eyes, so it worked out perfectly. Now let's talk about their eyeliners. I only got one shade. If you really look back a few years ago, who would have thunk that I would have been so into eyeliners? I used to never wear eyeliners, and now I love them. I like for them to be pretty much the star of the eye look. And I wanted to get a color this time. I knew I wanted to get that because I've been loving my Victoria Beckham, but they're coppers and browns and bronzes, and they definitely have colors in these. There's 12 shades, they're $23, and they are waterproof. It does come with a built-in sharpener on the other end. I got the shade Emerald, which green is pretty much my favorite color, but peach is my favorite makeup color. Green is just my favorite color in general, and I wanted a green eyeliner pencil, and that's what I got. So this is the shade Emerald, and it is a twist up pencil. It does have a sharpener, but it also twists up. I haven't tried using the sharpener because I don't really mind not having a super sharp point because I typically put my eyeliner on the same way every time, and that is to apply it and then kind of smudge it out. But here's the thing with these. They really are kind of bulletproof. They don't have very much smudge time at all. Like, I just applied it and I'm not going to get much smudging out of this. They set when you apply. It's not like the Victoria Beckham where you have, you know, the wiggle room, the playtime with them. So you're not going to get, short of, you know, drawing this all over your eye, you're not going to get a super smoky look with this. It is more of a precision eyeliner, but man, oh man, do I love this color. I have worn it every day since I have gotten this. Let me see if you're able to see. Do you see how pretty that is? And the pink and the green together. I love it so much. And it most definitely is waterproof. It will not budge all throughout the day. The first day I wore this, I didn't wear any eyeshadow. I just wore this on the upper and lower lash line. And it did give more of a smoky effect that day. I think today I'm going to use the blush on my lower lash line, but they have 2 different blues, 2 different greens. Retrograde was like a red. Celestial, which is like almost like a pink, maybe with a little bit of shimmer. They have a silver, a black, a bronze, a purple. I mean, lots of pretty colors, but honestly, I love the green. So I'm just putting a little bit of blush underneath the eye. And now we're going to talk about, spoiler alert, the one product that I really don't love from this. It may grow on me, but right now it is definitely my least favorite. This is the Lash Prototype Mascara. It says it's a volumizing mascara. It's $26. It says it adds volume, length, and definition. It has a vegan beeswax alternative and Tilia tomentosa bud extract, which adds buildable volume for optimal fullness. I'm not going to wear a primer today because I want to show what this looks like without it, but I have tried it with both a primer and not a primer. It is a very wet formula. It has a but a skinnier brush than a lot of other mascaras. But here's the thing. I don't necessarily always mind a wet formula. However, The wetter a formula, the heavier it feels on the lashes. And it really gets on my eyelid too. I just messed that up. The heavier it feels on the lashes and the easier it is to clump together. And that is exactly how I feel about this mascara. And I think I just messed up my eyeshadow because that mascara is, I keep holding up my phone as my mirror. That mascara is now blended into it. Great. So this is with one coat of the mascara and then with nothing. It's also something that, because it is a wet formula, it's kind of hard to build it up on itself. So putting 2 coats of it doesn't necessarily make it better. It kind of just makes it clumpier. Using a primer underneath it makes it even worse because it's more product for it to clump together. But see what I mean? It's like, it's very, 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 very wet. Very heavy. I can physically feel it on my eyelashes. And it's not even that easy to separate the lashes after the fact. So definitely not my favorite. I don't have any lip products from them. They do have lip products. I just didn't buy one. And I'm just gonna use a gloss. This is the Kaja Milk Tea. I don't know what this is called. Gloss Shot. So I got this in my last Stylevana order that I placed. And it's just a really pretty milky pink gloss that I like. I do not need a separate highlighter. The Diffusion Dew is coming through. And that's it. That is my full face of Make Beauty makeup. Even though you probably can already tell, I really do like everything except the mascara. My favorites are the bronzer and the Diffusion Dew. I just think they're so pretty. I can't stop wearing them. I also really like the powder, and the blush is very pretty too. It's not a groundbreaking formula, but I do really like the color, and I like the color options that are available. I do also like the concealer. It is hydrating. It is super, super lightweight, and it wears really well throughout the day. No creasing, no cracking, none of that. I was actually kind of impressed with it. So really the only thing, again, that I didn't love was the mascara. I said maybe that will change only because the longer mascara is open, the drier it gets. So I'm hoping that maybe in like a month, it is a little bit drier and easier to work with. I will still test it out. Oh, and of course my favorite, the eyeliner. Cannot go without saying how much I love that eyeliner. The color is just so, so good. So I will have everything listed and linked down below. Let me know if you've tried anything from Make Beauty, that, especially if it's something I didn't show, let everybody know what you think about them. Thank y'all so much for watching. Be sure and like and subscribe before you leave so you don't miss out on any future videos. And I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day.